All right, everyone, welcome back to Innovation Alchemy. My name is Adam Castle, your host, and this is the podcast that explores the mess, magic, and mastery of innovation and those who are bold enough and brave enough to build it. Today's episode is one I've really been looking forward to for a while. It's also one where you're going to hear me stumble over a whole lot of scientific terms like a baby giraffe. And my guest here is Dr. Raj Atikukke. He's the founder and CTO of One Tenacity Genomic Solutions, which is a personalized medicine lab located here in Windsor-Essex. And you've been quietly doing some of the most interesting work in our region for the last decade and a bit. When most people hear the phrase personalized medicine, I think what they picture is something happening in a research hospital in Toronto or Boston. But they don't picture a CAP-certified or CAP-accredited lab located right here in Hotel du Grace Hospital in Windsor, run by a scientist who's been doing this work for well over that decade. You're about to commercialize a product that helps people understand how their bodies respond to medication. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. But Dr. Raj, I wanted to bring you on to talk about really the long road that you've gone on, the science behind what you're doing, the team you have, the decisions you've made to do what you're doing here in Windsor-Essex, and what it looks like to finally be on the edge of something that's ready for that commercial market, ready for customers, and to open the floodgates there. So welcome to the show, and thank you so much for taking the time with me today.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you. It feels like a homecoming for me.
Yeah.
I've been associated with the VTech Alliance for many years now.
Yeah, and so you had started with WeTech under a company called
Itos Oncology.
Oncology.
Yeah, which is still the parent company.
Yeah.
So because oncology, I initially focused on oncology, working on developing tests to identify genetic variants associated with cancer, and then that will in turn help personalize cancer treatment. So my focus, based on my background and my education and fellowship, was focused completely on oncology.
Okay.
And as that's another thing which we can talk about, you should be able to adapt to what's going on around you.
Yes.
Because genomics you can use genomic technology for so many different areas of research. Then I focused on pharmacogenomics. And that's why I just wanted to come out of that Itos Oncology name tag.
Right.
So I started Tenacity. This tenacity is for never giving up, even though it took me so many years to get to this place. So I thought tenacity is the perfect name.
I love it.
Yes.
That's awesome. So genomics really was the root of what started at Itos, and now it's the root of this business here.
Yes.
Tell me what drew you into genomics in the first place.
Yeah, long before even tenacity existed, I was captivated and still continue to be captivated by this question that how a single cell can give rise to as complicated, exceptionally complicated organism or animal like human being. We are made up of 200 different types of cells, over 200 types of cells, and we are made up of 30 to 40 trillion cells in our body, all started with one cell. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, it's incredible.
And yes, and we know the master regulator of all this entire process is called genome in the form of DNA, which is in the cell. So this, till today, is it captivates me, that question.
Yeah.
And also, another fact is that we are over 8.3 billion people on this planet, and no two people are alike.
Yeah.
Even identical twins, they're genetical. There is some difference. So every one of us are different. And I always used to think if every one of us are different and we have got the risk of getting any disease, that is also different.
Yeah.
And the way we respond to medications, it is different.
Yeah.
So I thought there is a lot of, if we could identify what makes this uniqueness, what contributes to this, everyone being unique, different, then we can transform the way we treat these patients, and medicine can be transformed.
Oh, for sure. And that's really hard to do at scale. When you think about, 8 billion people, if everyone has a different course to take, but we'll dive into that because I think it's so important and so interesting. I'm a student of systems, and the human organism is an incredibly intricate and complex system. We build ecosystems here from an economic standpoint, so working with startups to tie them together, to pull them into things like funding and resources and partners. And so it's a system at a different scale with a lot less complexity than the human body. But I'm curious, was there a singular moment that you had that kind of second to say like, oh, this is my thing. This is exactly where I want to go with this.
Yeah. Even before starting, my background is in diagnostics. Then when I chose to do my PhD, I selected a field where it captivated my interest in the field of genomics. Found a lab and great mentor at right across the border here at Wayne State University, Dr. Russ Finley.
Go Warriors!
Yes, I know. Yes. Yeah, I did my PhD from the Department of Center for Molecular Medicine and Genetics. Then I wanted to blend this diagnostics and genetics together, trying to find a place where I can do a fellowship or learn more about technologies. And I was fortunate enough to get a fellowship at Karmanos Cancer Institute, again at Wayne State University, where I was involved in developing platforms for identifying genetic variations in cancer. That's how the entire process of setting up ITOS oncology originated.
So it was in looking at those genetic variations in the cancer cells, you realize, oh wait, the host that's playing a part here also has genetic variations from person to person. Highly specified, right?
Yes. At the same time I'm talking about I completed my PhD in 2009 and fellowship 2010 to 2012. And at the same time, there was, this idea of personalized medicine or precision medicine or targeted medicine that, was coming up, gained momentum. I thought, my goodness, there is variations in cancer cells that drive cancer in individual patients, and there is a need for this kind of technology to be implemented so that the information can be translated to the ones who need it the most, the patients, cancer patients.
That's amazing. Well, we're so fortunate to have you in this region. You were the first to take part in the Windsor Biotech Fellowship, I believe. And so you didn't have a blueprint. You didn't have any other peers. You were the singular first to do this work in our region. Tell me a little about who you leaned on in order to create kind of your pathway forward, and what that day-to-day looked like in those early years.
I've always went with this vision. I had this idea. At the end of this idea was somebody who is desperately need this kind of service, who would benefit. So that vision, that's what drove me through the entire process. I never really thought about, I'm being the first in this incubator facility. I mean, that thought never came to me, maybe because I don't have much of a business background. It's just a scientific background, and that drive to identify. Once you identify that gap, having a lot of information available and not being delivered to the patients. I mean, this goes back to the history of medicine too. It's medicine has got a centuries worth of histories. Whereas genomic medicine, we know the complete human genome project was completed in around 2000, 2003.
Well within our lifetimes,
And and it's still in its infancy. We do not know major part of our genome, what it does. So it's in its infancy. So there has to be someone who is working on bringing this information and giving it to the patients. That passion, drove me.
That's awesome. And I would say, like, I've interviewed, this is going to be our either 39th or our 41st episode.
Yeah.
I've worked with over 200 startups.
Yeah.
And that mentality is through and through with every entrepreneur that I've worked with that is doing what they do well.
Yes.
It's the idea that, like, we're obsessed with solving a problem.
Yes.
We don't really care what position we're in or who the competition is.
Yes.
It's just a matter of, like, making sure that we're solving it well and making that impact.
Yes.
And that's part of what I love, I think, most about frontier technologies and innovation, is that mentality holds true.
Yeah.
And one that I think we echo in our ecosystem as an organization at WeTech, even, of, like, we're obsessed with making sure that we're serving you. And, there's a lot of, I think, forces that kind of come together in an interesting way where we're funded by the provincial and federal governments, which are the least, the most risk averse kind of bodies you can imagine.
Yeah.
And we're serving clients that are, like, highly risk, towards, and they're looking for that. And so we meet in the middle and kind of translate both.
Yeah.
But it is with that same lens of, like, how do we solve these problems and how do we make sure we're serving best?
Yeah.
So, that early incubator at University of Windsor, I believe it ended up closing due to an asbestos abatement. Which, like, this is the world we're living in, right? Which sounds disastrous, but it led you to being located at Hotel du Grace. And now your whole story kind of begins again from that point, right? And so how much of where you are now is that pivot in terms of your product and what you're bringing to market? And I would say how much of that couldn't be built anywhere in our region?
Like, as you said, I started this at the University of Windsor incubator facility, had to be moved. And I have to mention, the contacts you make along the way. That's huge. One of the people who is instrumental is Dr. Heather Pratt.
Awesome.
Former executive director of research and innovation at the University of Windsor. She guided me through the process. She introduced me to another amazing person, the current CEO of Hotel du Grace Healthcare, Mr. Bill Mara. He, I presented this idea after Heather Pratt introduced me, and he just looked at me. I think he saw the drive, and also he's a visionary. I mean, he is willing to go take any step if he feels that it is going to help the patient or healthcare system. So he helped me. He gave me lab space. He not only gave me lab space, but he also helped me to navigate through, develop, collaboration or partnership with the Hotel du Grace Healthcare, and provided space. In addition to the space, he provided some of the key equipment that we need for this kind of technology. It can be pretty expensive. So
of course,
with
I can imagine.
their help, I could get some of the equipments necessary for this lab to build the infrastructure.
We've got some parallels. So with Heather, she was one of the first persons that I met when I started at WeTech, and she was in the tech transfer office at the University of Windsor. And so we worked really closely together as the idea of intellectual property started becoming to the forefront of innovation and small businesses or innovation-driven businesses. And so we worked really closely together there to develop out some curriculum around IP, and worked with Meyer Tofik, who was also there at the time. And then Bill was one of my first bosses.
Wow.
And so my first career was in social work. We worked together at New Beginnings, and I had this crazy idea to give the kids that we were working with, all residential kids, high-risk individuals, the summer kind of a lifetime. And so I proposed it to Bill, and he figured out a way to make it happen. And so he's definitely that type of person that where there's good, he finds a way to make it amplified and give it kind of the platform that it deserves. And I feel like we're both lucky to know those two individuals.
Yes.
Really cool. So, most founders will give up before year 5, right? There's a 90% failure rate on startups. You're 13 years in. Beyond just the I think the dogged your inability to let go of that, I need to make this problem better. What other things help drive you towards this point today?
I asked this question, many times, and I can remember, this when things are not going well as per your wish, and you hit roadblocks. I guess with any business, but more so in this tightly regulated area of research and development and bringing it to the market, like generic testing. So I would always say is the passion powered by patience and perseverance. And I would be telling you only incomplete story if I don't mention about my wife, Dr. Misra, Sabina.
Yeah.
So she supported me from the day one. I wouldn't be sitting here today had I not had her support. And also I've got two girls who are 21 and 22 years now.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, they both have seen this journey from the day they were born, almost.
Of course,
like
yeah.
The passion and it's through so many variants, so many things around you. Support from your family, your wife, and your children looking up to you and always encouraging you in whatever you do. So these are the things I think kept me going.
That's awesome.
And to be where I am today.
With two girls, you made it through the wilderness. I have one. She's 3.5. And it's a journey. It's
I know, it's a journey.
The same kind of grind that makes a founder. And you barely have any gray in your hair. I need all your tips and tricks on how to get through that.
Yeah, enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
That's the key. Enjoy. I know people usually live in retrospect. They live I had a good time.
Yeah,
Good time is now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's never. It's so quick, right? It's evolving at all times, which I find amazing.
Yeah.
I want you to slip into the role of teacher for a moment, because I want to learn here, and there's so much. As I mentioned before the taping, I sat in my mirror this morning trying to recite the word pharmacogenetics until I got it right. But for someone that doesn't know, maybe a patient that's sitting across from you, or someone that could potentially buy this new product, break down for me what the science is behind that.
Okay, let me start with the medicine. Conventional, when a physician, a doctor prescribes you a medication, the way medications are prescribed right now is based on how a drug or medication works for majority of people.
Okay.
Not every person. If it works for majority of people, that goes through different phases of clinical trials and comes into the market.
And before we go deeper into that, who decides what majority means? Like, how many is that typically?
That's you have to go through safety and clinical trial. There are different phases of clinical trial: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, like that. If you have a good number of there is science behind it. Statistically significant number of people benefit from this medication that goes forward. And this is a kind of, we call one size fits all kind of approach or trial and error. You must have encountered when you go to the physician, they say, okay, we'll try you on this medication. If it doesn't work after 3 or 4 weeks, we will reassess and we'll try on a new drug. Now, also imagine this. When you go to a doctor, also they say, take this medication 3 times a day. There is a reason 3 times in a day, 3 times 24 divided by 3 is 8 hours. That means, during this clinical trials, what they have identified is, in order for you to have that medication in an effective dose, you have to replace it every 8 hours.
Right.
So during this process, whatever you put in your mouth, when it goes to your stomach, it gets digested, absorbed. First, it goes to the liver. This is true with anything, not only medication. So when medication goes to the liver's job is to see if it is useful for our body. Okay. So it breaks down. If it is useful, it sends to the specific part where it has its use. Otherwise, it destroys it and it's excreted by the kidney. This is the continuous process.
Right.
So in order to keep it at the required concentration, so every 8 hours you have to replace. Now think about it. Genetic variation in the enzyme, in a particular enzyme that takes care of this medication, if that is genetically inactivated due to some genetic variations, it can make that enzyme inactive.
Yep.
And if that enzyme is inactive, so you're taking this pill every 8 hours, but your liver says, I'm not going to process it because that enzyme is dead. And it happens more often than you may think. And in that case, what happens? You take pill every 8 hours, and it starts getting accumulated in the body. And it causes what we call adverse drug reactions. Yes. Did you know adverse drug reactions is the third leading cause of death in North America?
No.
This is the data from 2025 pharmacovigilance data in North America, which is very we don't talk about much. Number one cause is heart diseases. It's highly complex. Number two is cancer. Number three is adverse drug events, which is is preventable by one simple test that we'll talk about. When we talk about our product, simple test. You collect your buccal swab. We analyze. We look at around 20 genes that are associated or involved with metabolizing drugs. And also these genes, they're highly variable because they constantly evolve because we start taking different types of dietary materials or others. So they constantly are evolving. So they're at higher risk of getting genetic variations.
So whether or not they're being suppressed or activated, it really depends on a lot of variabilities.
The converse is true too. The genetic variation can make that enzyme hyperactive.
Right.
In this case, if you take a medication every 8 hours, that is not enough to maintain that dose that is necessary to bring out its effect. It'll be gone within an hour. So the end result is the same. The patient will not feel good. So physicians easily call them as non-responders. They don't respond to this medication. And this, I gave you example of one medication now. If you think about geriatric or adult or senior patients who are in their 60s or 70s, most of them they have got multiple comorbidities, heart issue, pain or gastrointestinal issues. They are on what we call polypharmacy, 5, 10, or sometimes 15 different medications. Imagine you're taking 10 medicines, and now 4 of them or 5 of them, they don't get metabolized by the liver. They keep getting accumulated. And then we come across not only drug-gene interaction, it's drug-drug interaction, drug-drug-gene interaction.
Oh my gosh.
It becomes more and more complicated.
So that is so much more complex than I thought it would be. When I initially went into this, I thought, is it, will it work for my body or not? But there's real risk around something not being processed or not getting enough of it in the right amount of time. And wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, this is fascinating. I didn't know when I was preparing to give a talk last year in October. I was doing some research where I stumbled upon this new data. I constantly look at new information, and it's the third leading cause of death in North America. Adverse drug events.
What you've created is incredibly important.
Yeah.
I want to bring it down in scale in terms of a patient level. Can you give me an example of how this methodology has changed the course for a singular patient and how they're being treated?
Yeah. I've got so many different stories. The most recent one is on this 19-year-old girl, very pleasant girl, who was being evaluated for elevated liver enzyme. That's the first sign of liver saying, I can't handle it. I need help. So she has been going through this liver enzyme elevation for last 2 years. And then we decided to do pharmacogenomic testing on her. And we did the test, and I asked for the list of medications so that I can create a personalized report. And the first thing that popped was that medication is not suitable for this patient because of her genetics. Imagine one simple test would have told her 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So she went through elevated liver enzymes. Immediately, everybody thinks, one of the causes of liver damage is alcohol,
Right.
or eating not right.
Yeah.
And she went through all that process, not eat. So she thought she's eating too much.
Yeah.
She had eating disorder because of this.
Oh, wow.
So 2 years worth of that constant struggle to identify. Now here, my report from this genetic test clearly mentions this medication results in a higher level of this drug in the system, causing adverse drug events.
And so meanwhile, the thing that's supposed to be keeping her healthy or healing her is actually causing damage. Because we just don't know.
Not only that, when you have adverse, some medication causes you some problem, and you tend to be treated with some other medication to create that issue, which was caused by the adverse drug reactions. Had you known this genetic profile from the day one? Yes.
Is this affected by how clinical trials are done? So, I've heard, research before that earlier in medicine, most interventions were done with the male of our species in mind. And so a lot of the testing was done in there. And so we don't really understand how it's affecting. But I can imagine there's got to be something there where a bias that's in a clinical trial tends to become a bias that's in the treatment.
Yeah, probably you can say it's partially true, because most of the clinical, say, if a drug is developed in North America, you tend to get a population from whatever population is available. You won't test them against different ethnicities. And Canada being, a land of, I guess, immigrants,
multicultural,
multicultural. So if you start treating them with the medication that is designed for a specific population, it tends to have more adverse drug events. That's what I see in my limited number of tests that I have done here. I've almost every single patient that got tested in my lab, they have clinically actionable genetic variant.
Wow.
Yes. And also this information, you do simple buckles of this is the DNA that will never change.
Right.
So this is the DNA that you are born with.
Right.
So one test, you can use it for your lifetime. You have it in your, you can have it in your app on your phone.
An amazing
and use it
product.
forever.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about your lab space, because I know it's really special, and it's special not just in general, but specific to this region. So you have CAP accreditation, and that's a really big deal. But for someone that doesn't speak lab like myself, break that down. What does that mean?
This is where my scientific background is. I know CAP stands for College of American Pathologists. This is one of the highest level of regulatory bodies in diagnostic field. And in the molecular and genetic testing, it becomes more relevant, more important to have, follow. I always wanted to follow the highest regulatory standards, so that when a report comes out of my lab, you can say this is not only the best, this is the gold standard. This is the best report that you can get from any lab on this planet. Because we have to go through that rigorous process. I had this CAP inspectors come into my lab, spend a couple of days going through every single protocol of the validation process. And also every 6 months, they will send 6 blinded samples that we have no clue. They have all the reports.
Oh, wow.
From hundreds of labs around the globe. They have the report on those samples, and they will compare our reports And so far, we have gone through 3 cycles. We have got 100% correlation between our data. They send us the report
Right.
back to us.
Congratulations.
Yes.
That's not a small
you.
task, right? Or a small feat.
Yes. Yeah. That's why I wanted to, from scientific point of view, I wanted to provide the best service that any best lab on this planet can provide.
Yeah.
That's what, when a patient receives a report saying it's a from a CAP-accredited lab. Yeah, it's a huge sense of relief.
Of course,
for the patients.
Yeah. It's a trust marker, right?
Yes,
and so that's something we
absolutely.
talk about a lot in startups is, you're trying to get your product across to a customer.
Yeah.
A lot of the times we deal with technological products, and there has to be that element of trust.
Yeah.
Because if that's not there, the customer's not going to be,
Yeah.
at your door or paying you for what you're providing.
Yeah.
I want to touch a little bit on the subject of AI, speaking of technology.
Yeah.
I'm curious how that's impacting your work and,
Yeah.
and the work of genomics in general.
Yeah. AI you cannot get away with it, and you have to use it.
Yeah.
Because especially in this field, when I told you 30 to 40 trillion cells in our body, and every cell, with very few exceptions, it has got that DNA.
Right.
We get 1 copy from our mother, 1
Yeah.
copy from father. We have 2 copies of every single gene in our body. And this DNA is made up of 4 elements we call 4 building blocks. And there are over 3 billion pairs of these molecules.
Right.
Imagine if you sequence one whole genome, that means you get data from 3 billion molecules. And whatever molecular test you design in your lab, when you the data that comes out of that test, you compare it with the normal genomic database. So, and what is the difference between normal and your patient data? That's how you generate the report. So AI, incorporating AI can definitely expedite this process. We constantly use in our lab too. It expedites, it accelerates this process. Not only that, if somebody identifies a new genetic variant associated with cancer or any other disease, we can design assays in the lab to incorporate that genetic variant, and use of AI can definitely accelerate that process as well. You can do the literature survey and identify, get the sequence of that variants and develop assays. Previously, probably it would take months to years.
Right.
Now you can do it in hours to days.
That's amazing. I think there's a lot of fear out there around this technology.
Yes.
But the truth is that it is so important for how we understand things. I also think of it from this perspective of, here are these incredibly complex systems that are people, and we're using a complex system that we have built to be able to compare the genes from what the normal is to what you're seeing. What's crazy to think is we're almost our own data centers. And AI is this tool that we're using to kind of unlock all of the data that's contained within, which is vast and mind-boggling to think of. I want to kind of switch to talking a little bit about the business, because I think I could probably talk to you for the next 7 hours about the science. But I'm curious, you've assembled kind of a Marvel Avengers super team of people around you to bring this thing to market. What was it that you said to them to begin with to make them say yes?
It's all in the, I think they see the need. Right, this genomics, it's a constantly, everybody gets drawn to this novelty of this, or how rapidly it is changing,
right,
and how rapidly it can impact our lives. When you tell the real patient stories to people, as the liver issue that I just mentioned. And there are so many other issues with mental health issues and, pharmacogenomics, impact of how pharmacogenomic impacted the proper treatment of these patients. When you tell these personal stories of people, and people get drawn to it, they want to be I don't have to sell myself. I just have to explain, and they get drawn. And I always got, how can I help?
Yeah.
Yes, I
That's
was
awesome.
Fortunate in that.
It's a strong mission,
Yes.
and I think
Yes.
it's worth latching onto, because
Yes.
there's obviously a lot of good that can be done for that.
Yes.
I'm curious, you mentioned your wife briefly, Dr.
Yes.
Misra.
Yeah.
So she's a gastroenterologist?
Gastroenterologist.
Right, okay,
yes.
all right.
Yeah.
My mirror practice is working for me.
Yeah.
What's it like to work with someone? And I understand she helps you bring, doctors into your fold and connect you with local physicians. And what's it like to work on something so passionately where your partner is also such an intricate part of that with you, both your personal and professional kind of intertwining?
Yeah. No, we have been, the great thing about Sabina and me is we have been together through when we were students, when I was doing my PhD, even before that, when I was doing my PhD and Sabina was doing her residency, both we did at Wayne State University. So from the day one, she knew that I have this dream of starting my lab one day.
Yeah.
I didn't know what kind of lab, but she knew that I had that drive. And also we would constantly, because she's into medicine and she always wants to give the best, bring the best out for her patients.
Right.
So most of these patients that I was talking to you about and I helped, they came through her. And, this constant, not only just blind support, but she contributes immensely. This is all we drive together every single day.
Yeah.
And this is what we talk, how can we, this is our regular conversation. And when our, girls were growing, this is a conversation with them too. They talk about personalized medicine. And going back to Sabina, this is, this has been constant, conversation. Around the clock, we talk about this, and
I love that.
Yeah, then I go to the lab and think about how we can implement it.
Yeah,
and we always think at the end of the day, if somebody can benefit from this, that is the success.
Of course. Yeah.
Yes.
I love that, there's such a human aspect to this, right?
Yes.
Like science is obviously the heart of what you're doing, but the heart of what you're doing is to impact humans.
Yes.
And what drives you is that human connection that you're bringing into it with your family too. We've got, I think, this really interesting opportunity here in Windsor-Essex. We have a mega hospital that's on the horizon. What do you picture as kind of the potential future for the work and for what healthcare looks like in our region moving forward?
Yeah. No, it looks highly promising. I mean, I like Windsor especially because we've got everything for hardcore, genetic lab to start here and come to this level. We have the networking capabilities here at the hospital. We can go and meet the CEO with one phone call. Within a week you can get an appointment. And if you want to talk to oncologist, chief of oncology, she's always available, and any oncologist, they're always available. And any family physician. And we have amazing University of Windsor with great research scientists.
Yeah.
I think the future is very bright for healthcare, especially as you mentioned, the upcoming mega hospital. We can have right now for complex genetic testing, which is necessary for treating before patients go through chemotherapy. The patients are sent out, the samples are sent out to London or Toronto, and patients have to wait often for weeks or sometimes months prior to getting properly treated.
Not necessarily time they even have.
Yes, absolutely. And that everything can be changed. We can have, as I mentioned, turnaround time be within a week, 5 to 7 days, get the results so that patients can be treated in a timely manner and in the right way with the right medications.
how do you see the connectivity to Detroit still playing a role in that? Especially the backdrop of, a really changing world right now between our partnerships with what has been historical allies.
Yes.
Where do those relationships still live?
Yeah, I think Detroit, I still have some connection with from my old graduate days. There is need for this kind of service. They ask me for collaborative opportunities, and also having a CAP accreditation, it opens up even American market. We can tap into American market, and I think in terms of relationships, we still are in a favorable position where we can provide this kind of testing, this kind of service for patients across the border, having a lab here.
That's great. I think, we are ultimately connected by, the air we're breathing and the water that we consume and even, the food that we're using. Like everything is this really intertwined ecosystem. And so it's nice to hear that those ties are still strong. And, I would echo that as well. We've got lots of companies that still see the United States as our number one customer. And we've got a lot of families here with folks on both sides of that border too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've set a really great target of 1,000 kits to sell over the next 12 months. If I'm a customer looking to get one of these kits and understand my genomics better, two questions. One is, how do I get one? And two, how do you keep the same level of quality as you scale this thing?
Right now we have one product. There's a Pharmacogenomics, and we are working on cancer genomics down the road, depending on lab licensing stuff. So for pharmacogenomic testing, the one which we talked about, where we look at 20 genes, variations in 20 genes, and generate a personalized report for you. That is ready to order. I just brought one. This is the first time I'm showing this. Actually, we got this envelope. This is all thanks to Heather. After Heather came into as technology, innovation and development officer, specialist. So we created this One Tenacity. You can go to onetenacity.com website, and you can order this, and the kit will be mailed to you. And it's pretty simple. When you open the kit, it has got instructions, and it has got this buccal swab. This is as simple as it is. So you take it out, you collect your buccal swab and put that back in, and you will have return label, envelope containing a return label, and you put it back and send it back to us. And when you receive the kit, you also will get a unique code here. You can go to our website, register yourself, and you will be notified when your report is ready, and you will get your digital report. You can create your own personalized report. You can punch in whatever medications you're on, and it will generate a personalized report for you. And it is also not one-time use. You can use it forever.
So anytime you're prescribed something new, you can check out how it's going to react. Wow, you've made something very simple that is truly very complex, which is always the telltale sign of, I think, a good product. And I can see a lot of people being impacted positively by something like this. And hopefully at some point, this is mandated by OHIP to have this on file so that everyone has this clear picture of what's going to work for them and what's going to cause potential risk.
That's absolutely is the goal. Convince the agencies and show them the importance. So we are currently we are working on a research project with the Hotel de Grace Healthcare mental health patient population. We are doing a research project to show the foundation the impact of the simple genetic testing that the patients can have in their long-term care
That's
and
brilliant.
follow-up. Yes.
That's awesome. Background in social work, I know firsthand just how much of a guessing game it is, I think, for psychotropics and understanding how these things impact us are really important, because it could make something worse when it's trying to make it better.
Yeah.
So this is a show for early stage founders. We try and talk to the companies that don't necessarily get a lot of time with our advisors. And so you spent 13 years in this space now. Yeah. What is one of the biggest, hardest things that you've had to learn in that time? And what would you tell to, a hard tech founder that has a 13-year runway in front of them and it looks very daunting?
Yeah. Probably the reason why I'm still here, because I always thought, I never, had I known that it would take me 13 years, probably, I would have visioned or put some other pieces in place at the beginning.
Yeah.
We started purely out of passion. And then, as I mentioned earlier, people like Heather Pratt, came into the picture, who really helped me, accelerate this process.
Yeah.
But one thing I would say is, if you want to be in a field of this genetic testing, which is rapidly evolving, I don't think I have lost 13 years. These 13 years because I never thought about pharmacogenomic testing before.
Right.
This journey of 13 years taught me that there's more than just cancer genomics. And I got to learn this. You have to, you don't consider it as a long journey. You have to take it as an opportunity to learn new things and incorporate and make it bigger and better.
It's the foundation that you end up standing on.
Yes. So keep an open mind, and everything is driven by the passions, but patience, perseverance, and the open mind.
Yeah.
To incorporate other details as you move along.
And that's, I think important for every founder.
Yes.
It's all there is no bad data.
Yes.
It's all learning, right?
Yes.
It's all feedback, and feedback goes into reinforcing the systems that you're building and where you get to kind of go next.
Yes.
I'll end on this, because I'm curious, when you're having these conversations in the morning with your wife on the way to work together, what are the things that you reflect on that you're proudest of from this journey?
Just being here today, it's, as I told you in the beginning, it feels like homecoming.
Yeah.
Because VTech Alliance really probably gave me the first check of I think $5,000.
Yeah.
To I don't even remember what funding it was.
Would have been, I think, Winnovation funding. If I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Which is the earliest days. Yeah.
You meet amazing people, and that always helps you. When you're down, you feel like you have so many people backing you and want you to succeed. And I think, as I said, my wife always supported from day one, and my two girls. And the entire community around me, wherever I went, people always, ask me, how can I help?
Yeah.
This is the common, response I get from most people around. I think I'm very proud of having this.
I think that's a through line in terms of our culture here in Windsor-Essex.
Yes.
The ecosystem that we're part of, the businesses and the industry that's around us, and the institutions as well. That how you can help, how can I help mentality is the difference between a founder like you getting to 13 years and not. And so I'm so grateful to have this conversation with you. This has been a really substantive conversation, and probably one of the more substantive we've had. I think I've learned a lot. I'm excited to try your product and to see how it works for myself as well. And I look forward to watching this journey continue on with you, because I think this is really 13 years, just the beginning. And where you next is going to be amazing. So
you rightly put it. Like this is just the beginning. Now we are already focusing on cancer genomics, which is another huge area. Every single clinical trial right now, which is ongoing, they're all genome based.
Right.
Because cancer, when you say cancer as a disease, we know that it is a genomic disease.
Right.
Something happens in the DNA at the level of DNA, and that causes cancer. And as long as, unless you identify what has gone wrong at the level of DNA, you won't be able to treat that effectively.
Right.
So targeted treatments, they are coming up, and we are validating some of these comprehensive gene panels in our lab as we speak. And, also we are now trying to expand into the US market, where because of our CAP accreditation,
of course,
we can tap into that market. And hopefully one day, we will be able to offer that services to our own patients here, Windsor, starting in Windsor, surrounding areas, and province and nation.
That's amazing.
Nationally.
Well, you're going to continue changing lives. Yes. Congratulations on the launch of this product as I think a platform to build everything else that comes next. And thank you for trusting WeTech with your business. We, have really appreciated that trust, and it's not something we take for granted. So.
No, thank you, Adam, for inviting me here today. It's I can't thank you enough. This is probably the first platform I have ever had. I always say I know I can develop assets, but I don't know how to sell them. That's you have helped me much more than what you can imagine.
Oh well, today I'm excited to do it.
Yes.
So we'll talk soon.
Yes,
and we'll see what's next. Thanks, Raj.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. Thank you so much.
From Innovation Alchemy, we'll see you next time.